Hello, everyone. This is Darcenovia here, and yeah, I know I'm doing another stream so soon, but I had to because wow, what a debate that was! God, I mean, what the fuck were we watching?
Yeah, for real. That was I came in like the latter half of the debate because I had some things to do. I don't know. It was just a strange thing. I thought it was hilarious though. I
I
was laughing.
I couldn't watch the debate live because I was at work when it happened.
Yeah, it was just really funny. I think I swear I like the debate almost made me realize that. Well, I'm pretty much convinced at this point that Haas is just like obsessed with or he was, at least he was obsessed with the culture war in like 2015, 2016 or something. He was probably like into like the Gamergate shit or something and like a super edgy teenager or something. Yeah, I just get that feeling, don't you?
Yeah, it just he didn't even know what he was talking about throughout the entire debate. He was like an NPC who constantly quoted Marx and Engels and Lenin and Stalin out of context and constantly misused the word lumpen. It's like, what?
Yeah, constantly misusing the word lumpen, constantly taking texts that had nothing to do with what they were even talking about, like just placing them there for convenience sake.
I mean, he came off as a religious fundamentalist the way he was quoting Engels and Marx.
I mean, I don't have a problem with quoting. I love quoting Engels and Marx, but what I do have a problem with is the type of shit he was trying to like spread as uh, as the truth, which it really wasn't. Like he had this Marx quote from Theories of Surplus Value talking about like productive and unproductive labor, and he like takes this to misconstrue the notion that all that apparently Marx doesn't want to like organize unproductive workers, but that's literally under a chapter in Theories of Surplus Value called Vulgarization of Bourgeois Political Economy in the Definition of Productive Labor. He's going over what the vulgar bourgeois economists are defining as productive and unproductive labor, not what he defines it as. And the funny thing is that in that same section, just like a couple paragraphs down, he even says here, where he says, uh, the sycophantic underlings of political economy felt it their duty to glorify and justify every sphere of activity by demonstrating that it was quote unquote linked with the production of material wealth, that it was a means towards it, and they honored everyone by making him a quote unquote productive laborer as the quote unquote primary sense. Uh, namely, a laborer who labors in the service of capital is useful in one way or another to the enrichment of the capitalist, etc. In this matter, even such people as Malthus are to be preferred, which is pretty funny, who directly defend the necessity and usefulness of unproductive laborers and pure parasites.
Well, the thing that was really something, though, in that debate was just how casually it seemed like he was just calling everyone a degenerate and a parasite.
Yeah, that was stupid.
It's like, wait, am I watching a right? Is this a right winger or a communist here?
Yeah, I didn't really get to hear what the other guy, what was his name, Asatar Bair, whatever. I didn't really hear much of what he had to even say. But one thing I did catch him say that is actually true is, you're not really being that good of a communist if you're just sitting here dividing people based on how they look and shit like that. Like you're just demonizing these people for no reason, and he opportunistically tried to do it so hard to a degree where he's considering these people lumpen.
Well, the thing that made it ridiculous, though, about the guy is he didn't properly define what reactionary is or what fascism is. He just came off as a shit lib. Like
Yeah,
he didn't do so well either in that debate, and nobody's going to convince me that that guy didn't do. I've debate. I don't even know who won that debate. I don't really know, and I'm being honest.
well, there's a
I'm
difference
leaning.
between winning a debate and being correct, but
I
I mean,
know
yeah, neither of them
he
were
was
correct, but
he was more correct than Haas, but did he really win the debate? Because he made some obvious errors. Like what?
yeah.
It's like he made some arguments that sounded like something from the DNC. It's like, what is wrong with you? Like,
Real. I mean, he did agree that a lot of communist parties are weak currently, and they're not holding the correct line.
yes, he's right about that.
I don't think they ever got to like what the correct line should be, though.
But there was no argument in the debate. It was just a back and forth with vague questions on and hypotheticals.
Yeah, that's why that type of shit is stupid. Like the debate bro shit is dumb.
It really is. It's like it goes to show you, even if you have a PhD, if you debate Haas, you cannot win, not because you're not correct, but because the entire fucking culture of that Haas is festering in his fucking cult. They don't want to hear logic. They want to hear like Haas yelling like a banshee. They want him to fucking insult his opponent, which is what if there's one thing I will give the person Haas debated is he kept his cool the whole time.
Yeah,
and he didn't fall for any bait. Which, if you could tell by Haas's body language, Haas was frustrated the whole time.
he was. It was kind of funny too because there was a point where he tried to call out the other guy for how angry he apparently was.
He wasn't. But here's the thing. My issue with the guy who debated Haas is he should not have debated him in the first place because it's pure opportunism. Why did he debate Haas? It's not because his ideas are not correct or incorrect. We should like confront these ideas, but he could have done it in a simple format like a podcast and debunk his arguments that way, or in an essay format. He didn't have to debate someone like Haas because Haas doesn't care about being right. All he's about is the clout, the entertainment, the spectacle. I mean, everything that people say Vosh is can easily apply to Haas. Easily.
Yeah, I was about to make that connection. Or it's like Haas or Vosh, for instance. I even mixed up their names. Vosh, like, even if you want to say he quote unquote wins a debate or whatever the fuck, that doesn't mean he's right at all. In fact, he's horribly wrong on pretty much everything.
He didn't win the debate. He just made himself out to be a fucking clown. Because what was his argument throughout that entire debate? What was it? Oh, we should throw these people under the bus because we need to appeal to the working class. Who are you talking about? What working class?
Yeah, for real. And then there was a point in the debate where he randomly brought up like Mugabe or some shit in Zimbabwe. It was like, what the fuck? What kind of relation does this have to the United States and this working class here? Like, I think the thing he was trying to tie it to was like how Zimbabwe handles like LGBT people or whatever, which is completely irrelevant to how we handle it here. That's nonsensical. And then he was like, at another point, he was like, oh, how did Stalin handle LGBT and gay people or whatever, or Castro or something? It's like, dude, these are different points in time. And when Asatar Bair actually pointed that out, where he was like, you know, that was a different place and time. Like, and Haas didn't, for whatever reason, opportunistically said like, why does that matter? What's the relevance of the time and place? It matters because these type of issues were viewed in a different light in those times, for the most part, like especially in those regions.
And this is the thing when I'm praying out that he's treating communism like the holy scripture. It's like, what the fuck? Seriously, he's like, it's like apparently Stalin, Lenin, Mao, what's to say the five heads in general? They're not allowed to be wrong. They're not allowed. It's like, you know what? These people were products of their time. They were not born in like the late 20th century or early 21st century. So, of course, they're going to hold some views that are reactionary by today's standards. Okay. So we should just uphold those reactionary views because they have them? Of course not. Not even fucking, people who are LGBTQ, who are communists, they don't give a shit if Stalin was fucking, or Lenin, whatever, were homophobic, if whether they were or not. They don't care because their theory is correct.
Yeah, for like I think At least when you said like, oh, they're like reading it like it's religious scripture. I think that's giving them too much credit because they didn't even honestly do the fucking reading. Like they don't know what the hell they're reading. They're complete revisionists. Anytime they even do try to bring up a quote, it's in complete like lack of context, completely wrong. Like again with the productive and unproductive labor thing, that was a ridiculous quote for him to bring up to try to validate his stupid PMC bullshit. Especially since if you actually read Capital Volume 1, Marx completely says the opposite of the thing that he tried to say that Marx meant in that quote. So it's funny.
Well, okay, okay, I don't think Haas is as stupid as he makes himself look. I think he knows exactly what he's doing. He's he's wrecking the movement. He's muddying the waters because if he's gonna take all these talking points and use it to like support his position, then people who don't know anything about communism are going to like. I'm referring to those who are liberals. We don't like liberals here. Let's say they're skeptical about capitalism. When they hear like a fascist like Haas quoting like communists out of context in a way to support his fascist agenda, they're going to think that communism is fascism and not even bother reading any of this work.
Yeah.
He's basically driving people away that would be Marxist because of the way he's quoting Marx and Lenin.
I just think it's funny that Haas is like super like ultra revisionist on like the actual context of the actual arguments being put forth, but he's dogmatic towards like all the wrong stuff that pretty much every Marxist Leninist like universally agrees. Like, okay, those things were mistakes. The funny thing is too is like in terms of Cuba and Castro, like Castro even acknowledged himself that the persecution of like homosexuals was wrong.
Oh like, wait, Castro is wrong.
Yeah, wait. The when they do a wrong thing, they actually call it out. Oh, okay.
It's like, okay, I do have some issues with Castro myself, but I respect the guy for what he did for his country.
Yeah. Like,
sorry.
No, go for it.
I mean, Cuba wouldn't be where it is today if it weren't for men like Castro. So yeah, he did some opportunist shit. Like, okay, I still respect the guy, and that one thing that really irks me about these people is they opportunistically quote these people out of context or use them just to support something that they are pushing on their audience. It's like neither one of these people were pushing points that actually really supports the Marxist movement.
Yeah. And another thing that's funny too is like these are the same type of people that always tried to use the term scientific socialism to like apply to any time they have, or they say things like scientific socialism or dialectical materialism whenever they have absolutely no argument. And the funniest part about it is they have absolutely no idea what either of those things are, nor do they apply them in any way, shape, or form. If they were truly scientific socialists, they would recognize mistakes of previous Marxists and previous Marxist-Leninist movements and correct those mistakes so that they don't happen again.
Yeah, but none of these people want to do that. And it's complete insanity. It really is. It's like, you know, okay, I'm not saying like the guy that Haas debated, his name escapes me, so forgive me if I don't remember his name. Like, of course, I'm familiar with this guy. I've seen him on Twitter. Like, some of the things he says is really like outrageously and like he is and stupid as well. It's like, and he's is known for tweeting against people who say anti-Maoist lines. It's like, okay, it's like the guy's no friend of like many communists. He really isn't. Yeah, he may have went on Luna Oi's show. Okay, big deal. I mean, Luna Oi has had plenty of people on. Not all of them were good fucking communists. I mean, she was on fucking Be Liberal's show at one point. So we can't all fucking be good all the time.
Yeah, for real. Like, all right, the guy, I don't have much of an opinion on him. I don't know him that well. But one thing I would say about him is that I think he's just some like boomer guy who is not too like in sync with like internet culture and obvious trolls and bad faith debaters. Like he gave Haas way too much credit, or like good credit, or good faith. I meant to say, like he acted in too much of good faith when there wasn't really anything to be done there in that regard. He was never going to pull any of Haas's cultists away from Haas. It was over before it began, basically, at least to them.
Okay, if he did if he did pull any of his cultists, he probably at most pulled one, maybe two, and I'm being generous.
Yeah, for real. I don't even think that happened, to be honest.
Of course, if I have to be honest with you, I think he lost more when it comes to support in this debate than Haas did.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing with the professor is he really he was not prepared for this much hostility from the usual Haas antics. And like he did try to do this whole kind of questionnaire thing with Haas, but you know, we're dealing with somebody that's such a clown and a barker, you know.
Yeah, I don't even think the guy has tweeted anything out since the debate ended. But
he has tweeted, honestly.
Has he? Since the debate?
Well, yeah, they both claim they won.
Oh, yeah, I hadn't seen him. Let me check out what he said. Well, I know Haas was going to say that. Haas says that all the time, regardless, even if he got his ass handed to him.
Okay,
like when he debated New Amada, like he was claiming victory.
New Amada fucking buried him. I mean, he won the debate within the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, that was an embarrassment.
Yeah, I saw that debate as well. Yeah, it was an embarrassment for sure. Although, I mean, Haas is like really exposing himself in every debate now. Like he's exposing his racism more and more. Like it pounds up every time. You know, with Amada, he's like attacking indigenous, the concept of it, and now in this debate, I mean, he's just like calling everything so-called degenerate and like parasite, and yeah.
Well, I'm just gonna say this. Okay, as in America, veterans are held in high esteem amongst the working class. Correct?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
How are you gonna get support from those people if you're gonna basically call the lumpen, which are mostly veterans, degenerate scum?
Yeah, for like that. Look at the fucking the veteran homelessness rate. It's insane.
Right.
It is.
You're gonna sit here and just call them degenerate fucking scum and all this shit? Like, come on, bro.
Right.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if good luck trying to get the working class to support you. The working class actually, even those who hate the very concept of the police and what the troops do in general, they fucking have, compassion and empathy for veterans. You're not going to get support from the working class if you consider them scum. I mean, what's next? I mean, he could also say the same for mentally disabled people too. Like, are they scum? It's like, how far is this guy going to go? And it's like he's just pushing it at this point.
Well, he even went further than that in the debate, in the unmuted version of it on the stream that I saw live. Like he was literally at some point saying, "Oh, these people are post-human." You know what that means.
He said that in both in that guy's version too. Actually.
Yeah,
I see.
Yeah, that shit was funny.
It's like,
yeah,
it's like post-human. What the? It's like this is even a lot of the people that used to support like the Pet Sox. Even they are like, okay, this is a little too far.
Right.
We may not like the lumpen. We may not like these people, but we're not this open about it.
Yeah. Right. And like the irony too, I guess, to some extent, is like, Haas is like told his followers to call themselves gorillas. So it's kind of ironic to see him accuse somebody of being post-human, you know.
I,
But
I wouldn't be shocked if he calls. I'm not going to even dignify him. But you know what I'm saying. If he basically like calls certain groups of people and compares them to monkeys.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, there was an awkward moment in that debate. I won't say it because, like, in case of the algorithm, but in that like debate today, there was an awkward moment where the professor brings up a certain term that the fascists used, and then Haas kind of like mentions the ethnicity of Karl Marx, and it was a very awkward moment. I like Haas almost exposed himself there as well. Yeah.
I don't think he exposed himself. It's it's obvious that Haas is anti-Semitic.
Right. Well, the thing is like he used to have a mask for that kind of stuff at least a year ago, but like now the mask is like way off, and then his buddies like kill him up, and they're like 3 months away, 4 months away from Haas's path.
I bet I bet you Caleb is just going to like endorse this debate and shit, which is funny because like he's been trying to like move back a little bit on his stupid ass rhetoric, and I remember he made a video recently because people were attacking him for his lumpen stances, and he made a video where he was like citing apparently like Marxist writers or African American Marxist writers that he apparently likes and stuff. But if he actually bothered to like mention what they believed in term and what their stances on the lumpen were, they would understand that in actuality, Caleb doesn't support them at all.
Right.
Like he's gonna have to reject Frantz Fanon and the Black Panthers and all these people.
Well, he already does. Honestly, he can't openly do it, but it's only a matter of time before he openly does it. Caleb Maupin at this point. Okay, I don't. I should. I'm gonna. I don't know. I should use this, but no, I shouldn't do it. I don't think I want to tank my favorite Star Wars movie by using Caleb Maupin.
Yeah, don't do it.
Yeah, no.
I was referring to that opera scene in Revenge of the Sith. Have you heard the tragedy of Caleb Maupin? He was once the most respected Marxist, until he surrounded himself with hedge socks, which are social. They waged war against all real communists. In the span of a year, went from the most respected communist to being the most vile. How may I learn this power? Not from a communist.
Yeah, for real.
I butchered that, but I couldn't resist.
It was close enough. I actually just saw that Revenge of the Sith again a couple days ago. Classic.
Can we make Dugan the Sith Lord or something?
Yeah, for real.
Dugan is the Sith Lord. Dugan is the Sith Lord we were looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shit was. I just thought it was fun, and I remember. I went backwards after the debate ended, and I just like skimmed through a little bit of the parts that I missed originally of the debate, and there was a part where Asatar Bair, I guess, as you say his name, whatever.
Yeah.
Like he pointed out that like Marxist-Leninists, we want like a worldwide revolution eventually, which is obviously true. And then Haas and a bunch of his idiot fans seem to have a problem with it, and they don't understand that they don't actually understand the theory of socialism in one country. That it's not the point of it is not to just keep it in one country forever. The point actually is to use it as a lever, as a means of strengthening the revolution abroad. So yes, we do actually want worldwide revolution at some point. And they were calling that guy like a Trotskyist for saying that.
Right.
Socialism in one country was only practical at the time when the Soviet Union was the only socialist country in existence. And it had to focus on itself before it could focus on spreading socialism abroad. So, yeah, it made sense at the time. But socialism in one country, you cannot ultimately overthrow capitalism if it's not international.
I think socialism in one country is still perfectly applicable today, but but their misinterpretation of it is not just like, oh, we just maintain socialism in our country and just don't do anything for the like worldwide revolution or something like that. That's a complete revision of what socialism in one country originally was, in the words of Lenin and Stalin. They both saw it as a
Right.
means to actually like furthering the revolution abroad as well. But they
Right.
should still build socialism within the context of their own country. Yeah. In
Right.
terms of like world revolution, they were never against that.
Right. I mean, yeah, that was a really bizarre part of the debate as well. It's like I don't know if part of it is just like Haas and the infrared. They want to pander to these MAGA people, and that's why they try to they try to use the term globalist against the doctor, the debate guy, or maybe the other part is like this is some kind of like crypto Khrushchevite nonsense. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You
for real.
know? Yeah.
The funny thing, another funny thing too, is that like the guy that has like influences from and connections with LaRouche and stuff like that, like him and and Caleb, they're calling this
Right.
guy a Trotskyist.
Right. Exactly.
They'll
Exactly.
One thing I find really funny is they'll call everyone a Fed and a Fed jacket when, for all we know, Haas could be the Fed for all we know. Not saying he is, but it could be possible, and they wouldn't know it because they're not paying attention to like the person that's actually wrecking their organization. I mean, Caleb is fucked at this point. There's no way he could pull himself out now.
He keeps digging his own hole. I agree.
Yeah.
It's like, Caleb, shut the fuck up. I know you're watching this, Caleb. Shut the fuck up. For once, you are your worst enemy. It isn't Jason. It isn't the Maoist or the Sakaiist or whatever invention of your head. You are your own worst enemy. Relax. Take a deep breath and log off the Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what's funny about Caleb too is that like the night before this debate, basically Thursday night, he actually endorsed the debate and he praised Haas before it even happens. He's like, "Yeah, go Haas" or something like that in a tweet. So like he did endorse this debate, and he's not backing away from infrared right now.
Yeah, I love the comment that LT just put in the chat there because, yeah, I was about to bring that up too. If you actually go back and read, the interesting thing is if you actually go back and read the German ideology from Marx, he actually goes into the fact that if they're only under the precondition that there's universal development of the productive forces, only then would like the revolution be able to be like universal and stuff like that, and have like a worldwide revolution. And he specifically said that if there wasn't this precondition of like universally developed productive forces, then socialism could only really be local at first.
I
So,
see.
and that's kind of cool too, because that's like in one of the quotes that Lenin has. I believe it's on the slogan for United States of Europe, where he specifically says like due to uneven economic um, under uneven economic production, whatever, or development of the productive forces, we would necessarily have to have socialism be in one country, and that worldwide simultaneous revolution would be impossible under that context.
Hmm. I see. I know that like the original Russian National Bolsheviks, which is like separate from Dugin, but like Dugin was inspired by. Like I know that they tried to they like moved back to the USSR. People like Ostrov, and they try to like co-opt Stalin's socialism for all in all into their ideology, and then of course I think two of them ended up in the purge of like 37 for national chauvinism, which is kind of funny because Stalin didn't like them as well. I wonder if that has like any influence on Haas or like or Caleb even, because I mean it's just a theory, I guess, but it like I feel like his interpretation of socialism in one country is like kind of coming from that realm as well, maybe, you know.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting too. I wish I could remember the speech that it was in, but I remember Stalin had he had a speech where he was concerned with the growth of like a nationalist sentiment and like nationalist type of revisionists that would try to like twist what socialism in one country would is and what it was meant to be, and just tried to like maintain their own hegemony, their own productive forces, and just forget about the rest of the revolution. You know,
Right.
he was pretty much right in that respect that that kind of did happen. Like they kind of stopped, but yeah.
Right. That's a good point. I mean, what else in this debate that happened that was like crazy? I mean, at some point, like, I mean, Haas is like what complaining about dyed hair or whatever. I mean, it's so ridiculous. It's like, oh boy. I mean, it's the end of the world.
Well,
You know.
okay. My issue with this, the way the doctor in this debate, like the way he was talking about, like he was not wrong when he said you're going to alienate most of the working class. He didn't actually do a better job to actually like elaborate why.
Yeah.
Why his rhetoric would alienate the working class. Like, I think he should have. Like, I feel like he should have. Because then again, he's a dangus. You can't really expect a dangus to actually defend the lumpen or talk about like various like things that are connected with the lumpen, such as veterans, the disabled, LGBTQ people. Like, he could have done so much more to basically make his point like stronger that you're not going to build a movement by attacking the most vulnerable of society or calling certain sections of society social scum. Like
Right.
he didn't do a good job of debating Haas. And honestly, this is why I say liberals are not capable of debating fascists. They're not. They're not capable of debating fascists because they're like arguments are just not strong enough, and they're too moralistic in how they argue against fascists.
Yeah, and it just sets them up to like get dunked on at that point, which is really annoying.
Right. And another crazy part in the end of the debate is like Haas is now he's trying to reinterpret, I guess, Engels and saying that Engels supports like some strict monogamous traditional marriage or whatever. I mean, it was crazy.
That was so dumb.
Yeah.
That was, but he was bad at actually refuting, like, by actually like supporting the Republicans like overturning Roe v. Wade. You're alienating the working class. Like, he didn't even bring up how most of America supports fucking like the existence of Roe v. Wade and believes that reproductive rights should be protected under the law. He didn't even bring that up. It's like this guy could have easily bodied Haas.
Right.
But he didn't do it. He acted like a milquetoast liberal the whole fucking time. Like, you cannot defeat these people through moralistic arguments. You have to do it through dialectical, materialist fucking arguments. You have to do it dialectically and materially. You can't just fucking argue it in a moralistic way because people like Haas are just going to say, oh, that's not materialist. Oh, that's moralistic or whatever bullshit he fucking conjures out of his fucking ass.
Yeah, like he completely took out of context what Engels was saying in terms of like true monogamy. The reason he was even Engels even talked about like true monogamy is because he said that currently under current conditions of capitalism, we don't have true monogamy because women are much more likely to just put up with men cheating on them because they're stuck in an economic position where if they do try to like leave him or something like that, they get absolutely screwed over because they're stuck with the children a lot of the time. And then they have absolutely no like money, no type of like home, no basis to like even continue her life without immense struggle. It's like a lot of times women will just forgive the husbands, and the husbands will just go around like having sex with a bunch of other women in the first place. So when he's talking about true monogamy, he's talking about making men actually be monogamous, whereas he says women were typically already monogamous. That's why he even says like in that book, Origins of the Family, Private Property, and the State, that a lot of times men are the bourgeoisie and women are the proletariat.
That's interesting. Yeah. Like the one thing the doctor or anybody could bring up really to Haas is like, as far as abortion goes, I mean, just bring up like the Texas law that SCOTUS allowed passed 6 months ago, where like you can literally like sue women who have an abortion, and there's like a bounty. It's basically like a bounty law, bounty hunter law, and you can win like $10,000 against a woman. It's like completely insane law in Texas. It's practically outlawed abortion, but through like the civil court system. It's completely horrendous. That alone would like crush Haas. Haas would have to like, oh, okay, I'm not for.
Wait, hold on. Wait. You're
Mhm.
telling me even a rape victim, let's say a 10-year-old girl or 11, could fucking they would hunt them down. They could legally hunt them down too for a bounty.
Supposedly, there's supposed to be a like rape exception in the bill, but then I'm told that it's not. But like they can be sued basically, if they get caught, and not just the woman, they can like sue an Uber driver that like drove them to a clinic or yeah, it's real terrible. It happened like 6 months ago in November. The liberal media only cried about it for a few days, and they just pretend that I don't know. They just pretend it doesn't happen or something. So yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah,
Uh,
it is.
I am looking forward to the day where we don't even have to fucking talk about Haas. I am looking forward to that day. I'm looking forward to the day where Caleb Maupin will be one of those memes that was like a thing that was a thing in the early 2020s. That's what I would like to think,
Yeah.
like to happen.
Right.
I think the next step is we gotta see how far is it gonna go before Caleb finally disowns Haas.
He's not going. I don't think he's likely going to. At this point, he's too far down the the hole. At this point, he has basically alienated every communist that once respected him and once
Oh yeah.
supported him.
Yeah.
Like he's even if he somehow broke away, they're not going to trust him again.
Yeah, they're never
Especially-
gonna trust him again. That's what I was gonna
Yeah.
say. Like, I do think he eventually will be forced to move away if he's actually serious about any type of socialist organizing. But the people who he alienated already will never trust him again, and he'll be just a nothing. He'll be nothing after that.
And here's another thing about Caleb Maupin, like his ties to the far right. This is public knowledge at this point. Like it's very easy to find his ties to the far right. He cannot hide his past, no matter how much he distanced himself from it. Caleb is fucked. Like he literally fucked himself by angering like every real communist out there. Like his biggest mistake was dying on the hill of Haas. It really was.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's even lost like anarchist friends now, and because Haas is completely. I mean, he just hates. I mean, he went to CPI and he literally told the 50 people there that yeah, screw the left, we don't need them. I mean, verbatim. So I mean, it's
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the name. There was this one. Oh man, there was this one anarchist guy that used to make. Oh, it's like Benton something. I don't remember his name.
yeah, Britton Langley, I think.
Yeah, Brenton Langle or something like that. I was like, I don't know if he still associates with Caleb because I haven't seen them do anything together in a while. It seems, but I mean,
Yeah, he hasn't like done like a co. They used to do like a review of Caleb's debates, like together.
yeah, or they would like just go over like various socialist topics. And I remember I actually
Mhm.
liked those videos. Like they're pretty good.
Right. Yeah. The last time I did kind of see Langley there, well, I think it was an old video though. But like Caleb had gone on a libertarian stream that like had a few pro-China libertarians, and Langley happened to be there. But like I don't know, it was like an awkward video, like interview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine one day, and I would not be shocked if there's a documentary, "The Rise and Fall of Caleb Maupin."
He's
No,
not relevant enough for that.
No,
but-
I'm dead serious. I would love for someone to do that.
Oh, me too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, Caleb Maupin will like, I'm gonna sue you for defamation.
Oh my god. Yeah, I remember that. He's going to sue the CPUSA for defamation.
I hope.
Oh,
he
I forgot
does it.
about that.
I hope he does. I actually kind of wish he does. I really do want to.
Yo, remember whoever fucking made that that like art about for the CPUSA where they were like sweeping away like Caleb and Haas and Jackson? That shit was hilarious. Whoever did that, props for that shit. That's like a
I
fucking
mean,
great image.
seriously, how
That's a great
stupid do you
image.
have to? How stupid do you have to be to fucking throw away real organizers for a fucking Twitch streamer?
Yeah, that's so stupid.
Right.
It's like, it's like, okay, remember how relevant Vosh used to be? Nobody's talking about Vosh now.
And nobody gives a fuck about Vosh
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
He's making a fool of himself now, like defending NATO, talking about how it's good and its existence doesn't affect socialist organizing anywhere. It's like, come on, bro. This is
Yeah,
a
he-
joke at this point.
Vosh is a living meme, and that's what Haas is at this point. I mean, my God, like one of the funniest moments I remember it was when he was talking to this one chick, and he didn't even and the three the holes.
right.
It's like what the fuck?
Yeah, 2 holes. Oh.
He every time that's ever like mentioned, he gets fucking pissed off.
Yeah, he does.
Bro, he flipped out over that for like 2 weeks straight. Like he was just on Twitter constantly, just tweeting at people, trying like
Oh,
completely
yeah.
random people, just like responding to them. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know who's a bigger ass clown, like Haas or fucking Rageaholic.
I don't even know who that second person is.
Good.
Rageaholic. I think I know who you mean. It's some.
He's like the fascist metalhead that is a hardcore
Yeah.
Trump supporter.
Yeah, he's from Arizona. Yeah.
Oh, he's in
Yeah.
Arizona. Okay.
Like
Yeah.
if you actually were to see one of his videos, you could tell he looks like a fucking Nazi. One of his videos, he has the Japanese imperial flag.
Cringe.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what's funny, what like Vosh and Pat Sox have in common now is that like Vosh had a Ukraine flag for like 2 months, and now he has an American flag in his Twitter name.
He does.
Yeah.
I didn't even know. What
Yeah.
the fuck?
Yeah. And like Vosh he literally shares the same views about land back and black national. Well,
Yeah, he literally
land
says
back.
like they're black Nazis, basically.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what's really hilarious? If these people got over their bipartisan differences, these people would fucking be allies. I mean, there's little difference between Vosh and Haas.
Right.
The only real distinction I even really see is that one embraces like woke liberals and the other one embraces like reactionary idiot dumb fucks. Like they're like if the,
Right.
like basically one is a complete shill for like fucking Democrats and the other one just like wants to pull like conservative like Republicans over. Like one's appealing
Right.
to like fucking the woke crowd, the other one's appealing to the MAGA crowd. That's the only real difference, honestly.
Right.
But is there really a difference considering they're both reactionary?
Yeah, they're both reactionary.
It's like I really hope I don't have to do another stream talking about fucking Haas, but it's something that I wanted to get, do a video on because somebody has to do it. I mean, before while it's still fresh. I mean, I'm not going to wait till Monday when like people moved on to the next thing. Let's be honest here. A lot of people have the attention span of a goldfish.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm guilty of that as well. But yeah, it's true.
This way, this is on record, so people know I've talked. I want to try to keep more like up to date with this sort of thing. I'm not a debate bro, but I figure with someone like Haas, he is a dangerous enemy that we have to deal with, and I feel like we should discuss this sort of shit so people will know that this guy is a fucking complete clown. He really is a clown. For those of you who have not seen the debate. Unless you just want to laugh at how stupid fucking Haas is for an hour, be my guest. Otherwise, don't bother.
Yeah, there was nothing productive there.
It's more entertaining than the one with the land back and it's shorter, but it's just don't watch it.
Yeah, and the thing is like Haas, like one of the main reasons he is a thing today is because it's Caleb. He went on his show and after that, he like promoted the hell out of Haas, and
Oh,
even up to this day.
I have a question. Was he on B Liberal's show first or Caleb?
You know,
Because I think B Liberal put him on his show before Caleb.
did
Haas?
he?
I didn't even know.
At least I think so. I don't know.
I've never seen Haas on B Little show, but I have seen like when I first encountered Haas on like my screen, it was Caleb going on there, and he like re-uploaded the interview with Haas. It was like 2 hours,
Well,
and then from there, that's when I saw Haas's content.
when was it uploaded?
It's got to be over a year ago, but
Well,
probably
I was asking the date actually.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, but I think it's 2021, probably February, but I could be wrong on that.
Well, the thing is,
Um,
I can't confirm for sure when
mhm.
B Liberal was had him on his show because the only reason I'm bringing this up because B Liberal and him had a falling out.
Right, yeah.
Like every time B Level has a falling out with anyone, and I mean anyone, like he deletes anything that they were in. Like, did you know that on Ewoks, that there was actually like 4 co-hosts originally?
Wow.
One of them
Yeah, I don't know.
wasn't only in one of them, but he wasn't in there because of the politics. The other guy wasn't in there that much. The guy was an anarchist, and he ended up becoming a fascist. So I can
Mhm.
understand why you would want to like cut ties with them. And it was only 2 videos, but I was the main co-host until that falling out happened. But the reason I'm bringing this up because B Liberal has the habit of deleting every collaboration he has with people if he had a falling out with them.
I see. Yeah, and yeah, he did fall out with Haas. I saw Haas tweet out this week that, oh, who needs DSA if you got enemies like Be Liberal and Yankee Tinky?
I really wish Dust James would have debated Hawes because I do think that would have been entertaining.
Oh, yeah, I wish too. That would have been, I mean, that would have caused so much damage in that movement.
It would have been fucking hilarious.
I mean, it might still happen. Who knows? I don't know.
Or
Yeah.
I got a better one: B Level and fucking Hawes.
That's not gonna happen. I don't think.
No, I mean, B Liberal he wouldn't go into it because he's like, he doesn't have the stamina for that, honestly.
He doesn't. As someone, I'm just speaking as someone with experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the Dust James one would be also be more interested in that because like he's actually involved like CPI and pulls himself off as like this like conservative truck driver or stuff like that. Like
Mhm.
there's more of an image there, you know.
Well,
Right.
okay. The thing is regarding Haas, if let's just say hypothetically there was a falling out between Haas and Caleb Maupin, what would that look like? What would be the cause of it?
I have no idea.
Hypothetically.
Probably just like, I mean, honestly, it's probably just going to be on the same type of trajectory that it's going now, and he's just gonna, Oz is gonna say something so stupid that even Caleb can't defend it. Like,
Yeah, and they'll probably like involve CPI going to the ground and having like a lot of detractors type of thing. I mean, the only thing I think of because I don't even know where Caleb and Haas disagree with each other, really. I mean, Caleb seems to follow Haas on some of these other insane issues.
I mean, in content, they probably don't disagree on anything, honestly.
Right.
The only thing I could even kind of think of in terms of like what they at least claim to be different on, at least in terms of something that Caleb would be on like the Lumpin or something, I guess, because he at least tacitly claims that he supports writings of like Frantz Fanon and the Black Panthers. I don't believe that he does, but he claims he does.
I think the main difference between Caleb and Haas in terms of their disagreements is optics.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, Caleb's optics kind of flushing down the toilet already.
Well, the thing is, we can't predict what that would look like, and I don't know what that would be like. I'm just saying hypothetically, if it were to happen, like I don't know, it would involve one of them saying something that would piss off the other.
Mm-hmm.
It might watch it be something like Moppin drops a take that Haas considers woke or something, and he calls Moppin like a cuck or some shit.
Yeah.
Well, but here's the thing regarding that though, regarding Caleb and Haas, because Caleb Maupin's paranoid about feds. He really is.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah, he is.
because what if he accuses one of people that Haas is associated with as a fed?
I don't even believe that he's truly concerned with feds. I mean, he was with like a fucking trot party. He was
Well, I do think
he's a fan of LaRouche. Like,
I don't know. I think Caleb is paranoid of feds. I do think he generally is paranoid. But I don't know. But anyway, this is off the topic, but not really, but it kind of is. This entire debate just exposes, in general, that even if you have a PhD, Haas is not going to respect anything that you say. He's not going to listen to anything you say, because to him, like, he doesn't see a difference between someone with a PhD to an undergraduate. He doesn't see the difference between them. It's all the same to him. It's all entertainment.
Right. I mean, he's the guy who goes on stream and he says that every teacher is a PMC, and that they're parasites. So I mean, and he tells people now that unions don't matter. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, he said that even on Twitter. So
well, that it just, to me, Haas is okay. I used to think that Karen Mansfield could have been potentially a Fed, but okay, I don't think. Okay, we can't prove any of this, so don't take this in face value when I say that this person's a Fed, that person's a Fed. I have no proof at all. But I'm saying if there's anybody that is the most likely that is a Fed, it is Haas.
Like, well, I mean, he did go to law school, so that can make sense to a degree.
I mean, the kind of stuff that he does and says, he meets the criteria what a Fed would be. I mean, what kind of fucking communist discourages people from being part of unions? Lenin wrote this in Left-Wing Communism, an infantile disorder, that we should not be involved in unions. We should be involved in unions. Like, this goes against Marxism, Leninism, like basically saying fuck unions. Why would a Marxist say that?
Right. Yeah, I've even seen some of his cultists try to defend the stupid ass take by saying like, but these unions aren't revolutionary, which is ironic because like that's the exact thing that Lenin was bashing and criticizing in left-wing communism and infantile disorder. It's like, it doesn't matter if they're not revolutionary unions. You still got to join them, even if they're reactionary unions. You got to pull the rank and file away from that shit.
Well, I hate to say this, but we have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
If you stick to strictly like revolutionary unions, you're not going to get anywhere. You're going to be completely divorced from the masses.
Well, you can't build a revolutionary unions if you're not willing to go into the reactionary ones.
Yeah. Precisely.
And here's the thing, when it comes to reactionaries, not all reactionaries are the same. There's different kinds of reactionaries. Like, obviously, we wouldn't want to join a union of fascists, obviously. That's understandable. But reactionaries, when they may have some socially conservative views, that's fine. Because we're united on class issues.
Yeah. And the same thing, it's like under the context of like a socialist society, the thing that's great about it is that even if they do have like conservative views, they can still live their conservative lifestyle, and I would argue even to a better extent than they currently can under capitalism. It's just up to actual like Marxist-Leninists, like class conscious workers, to actually like show this to them, like prove this to them, you know.
Well, another thing is, bourgeois conservatism is not the same thing as working class conservatives.
Yeah.
Right.
I think we need to properly define it, because, when you just say, oh, this person is a conservative, it's like, okay, what does that even mean? Because conservatism doesn't really, like, by itself doesn't mean anything. What does it mean to be a conservative? Because bourgeois conservatives and working class conservatives don't actually necessarily really like each other that much.
Yeah, and it's kind of the same thing on the other side too. Like I would say there's a bourgeois progressive, and then there's a working class progressive. You know,
Right. Yeah.
and like they could easily weaponize progressivism while ignoring all of any like economic issues to push like a woke neoliberalism.
It's
Which honestly,
Right.
I think a lot of like chud like people who like Pat Socks and shit, like they fail to recognize these distinctions like that. Like they'll see like the woke neoliberals and stuff, and they'll just associate that with progressivism in general.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like they think, if we use their language or their mentality, they think that like a blue-haired person activist is the same as like a neoliberal, upper middle class or lower upper class person in like a mansion. And it's then, yeah, it's yeah,
Yeah, when he like in the debate, for instance, when Haas was trying to say that like these blue-haired like degenerate scum liberals or some shit, like
right,
they're all like gutter lumpen proletarians. Like,
right,
oh, wait, he said gutter? Oh, fucking Christ. Racist.
yeah. Oh, and then like after that, he does like another contradiction, and then he says like these people are failed bourgeois because they wasted their money on college, and then he goes on a rant saying like,
there's like art school and shit.
yeah,
Failed artists.
yeah, and then he's basically saying that they're bad at capitalism or something to that effect. I mean, yeah, it was. So you see, he has like these contradictions even with his own strawman arguments.
That's pure classism. I mean, holy shit.
Yeah, he said fuck art in the debate as well. I'm pretty sure he said that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think they like clarify it later though, where it's like I guess it has to have a useful value or some shit to like greater society.
Well,
Sure.
the thing
yeah,
is, what do you define as useful value?
Yeah.
Because beauty is the eye of the beholder. I mean, what kind of art are you talking about?
right.
Yeah, art was
Oh,
a pretty big like thing like in Soviet culture too, so
right. Although Hawes later tries to like kind of poison the well and say that it matters if the art attracts the mass of people, but then he's also still criticizing them for not making enough money. So like he's all over the place, you know.
Hawes is not even arguing socialism. He's arguing fucking capitalism.
Right.
It's like, okay, let's be honest. As someone that has an artistic mind himself, I think people should be able to make whatever kind of art they want as long as it's not like, promoting some dangerous propaganda like fascists or whatever. I think
Hmm.
people should be able to create the heart from the soul. I think art that doesn't come from the soul isn't fucking art at all.
Right.
Like by Hawes's own logic, the Marvel films are fucking art because they reach the masses.
yeah.
And I'm not
Right.
going to get into what I think of those movies, but I'm just using them as an example because they're the most popular movies right now.
Well, if you know Hawes, he says that all the Disney movie franchises, their main characters should be shot in the head in front of people, and then that should be the end of the movie franchises. Like he said that in a tweet, literally. Um,
It's
so
Does he not realize that Star Wars is not Disney? Not originally, anyway.
right, he doesn't, but he added in Star Wars in it. And I guess he wants the main characters to die. So
Well, here's the thing regarding art in general. If you like dismiss art like as important, then you don't you're not serious about building a society because art is important to every fucking culture that has ever existed.
right, it is, and I mean I don't even know what to say about Hawes's like anti-art stance. Like I don't think I ever heard of somebody who's against art. at least in real life. But
Well, I
yeah.
mean, considering his like god awful taste in music, apparently, and or his lack thereof, I mean, I'm not surprised by his stance on it. But
Oh right, isn't he like? Doesn't he say that he doesn't listen to music or something like that?
yeah, I don't know.
Or
I remember seeing a talk recently between him, Nick Fuentes, and Destiny, where like
oh
they
god,
were Destiny and Nick Fuentes were like memeing on Hawes for being a fake Kanye fan.
oh yeah, oh yeah, because I saw Hawes tweet about Kanye recently, so I guess that makes sense.
Well, I'm just
Yeah,
saying that if you are against art, then you're out of touch with the masses. You really are, because
right.
the masses throughout history have all created a form of art that expressed what dissatisfaction with the system that they are living in, or whatever. I'm just using that as an example, or expressing their like disgust with a ruler. It's like if you are against art, you're against human nature in general. Because we human beings, we've been making art since we've been able to actually like build, to actually draw, whatever you want to call it. I mean, if you look at ancient like art, thousands of years ago, like even before we started building civilizations, art has existed. So this is really anti-human. It really is. It's like this goes against what basic human beings want. I mean, human beings are creative in their minds. Like, what the fuck does he advocate for? Like, even to build, civilizations. Some of these people want a Star Trek future, right? Well, how the fuck are you going to do that if you don't have a creative mind? In order to imagine a better future, you have to be creative. I'm not saying
he's just basically against artists and anyone who went to college for
I,
art school and stuff
I,
because they're associated with like woke liberals and shit. That's really it.
right.
Like
I
there's nothing
actually,
else behind it really.
I actually found a tweet from him, and this is the tweet. It's from May 7th, so that's like what, a week ago. He says, "Artists as a class are scum. Artists as individuals can be heroic. Just read." Okay.
As a class, artists are a fucking
Yeah.
class now. Like,
well,
Yeah.
I got an idea. What if Caleb Maupin and Haas, the reason why they act the way they do, because they're failed artists?
yeah, maybe Haas actually went to art school, not law school. That's why he doesn't want to show proof.
Oh boy, I can think
I
of
mean,
one person who failed art school.
I,
You
I,
know,
I mean, is
Oh
it any
yeah,
coincidence
that sounds very familiar.
right?
I'm not even referring to Hitler. I'm referring to, isn't it interesting how every failed artist or failed entertainer are fascists
Yeah,
and
Right.
Shapiro,
that's exactly why I said maybe Haas
Crowder?
failed art school.
Oh my god, this is gonna, if like, I know I'm probably gonna be make an enemy of Haas at this point. I don't fucking care. He's a fucking joke.
As if you haven't already.
I don't fucking care.
Yeah, like
I
that.
I mean, I view it as a badge of honor. I really do.
I just found another juicy tweet related to art from Haas. Patriotism is not tellism. Sakaiism is tellism. You
Wait,
are tell you are telling behind your politically correct PMC and D-class hipster peers, pandering to what already comes to natural to members of your institutionalized parasitic class of artists, grad students, and professionals.
Like, can we actually talk about this irrational fear of the book settlers? I mean, I brought it up briefly last stream, but I feel like it's ridiculous how everyone is so afraid of this fucking book. Okay, as someone that's read the book front to cover, I'll just say this. It has a lot of good arguments, but the book also has a lot of problems. But you can't even actually bring up the fact that the book has a lot of problems, even if you like read it. Sorry, you're not 100% agree with it, because if you just reading the book or talking about it, you're automatically a Sakaiist. It's like, and I think it's ridiculous. Like, I wouldn't have never read Settlers in the first place if fucking reactionary dipshits who so-called socialists didn't fucking talk about it as much as they do.
I was about to
Right.
say that. Like, I still haven't had the time because of my busy ass job to like sit down and read it front to back. But I've like read parts of it, and I've like seen people try to make quote unquote debunkings of it or whatever. and I looked at the source material and found out that he didn't actually say what they were strawmanning him to say. So,
Right.
but I mean, this is the thing though. Just being an anti-revisionist ML, I was continually being accused of being called a Sakaiist. I was like, who the hell is this Sakai guy? I don't even know who this Sakai dude is.
Right.
And then I was like, wow, if saying like the actual principled Marxist Leninist takes makes me a Sakai must be a fucking base, like Lord. Like,
Right.
It's like here's the thing, like what I mean, like it's like okay, Mao and his writing oppose book worship and no investigation, no right to speak. Told in executive detail that you shouldn't talk about something if you haven't thoroughly investigated it. That is why I read Settlers, because I wanted to go by the principles of Mao. And when you go by the principles of Mao, you're a Sakaiist. If you like, you can't win with these people. Like you could like be the most critical person to the book Settlers, but your crime is simply reading or talking about the book.
Right.
yeah, I think it's funny too that like Haas would try to bring up like Mao and stuff like that, but then he's like so like utterly against the lumpen when it's in here's a quote from Mao. Well, at least it's like a whole paragraph, but I'll just read the beginning sentence and the last sentence here. In analysis of the classes in Chinese society, which is a really short work, so I encourage everybody to read it. At the end of it, he says, quote, apart from all these, there is a fairly large lumpen proletariat made up of peasants who have lost their land and handicraftsmen who cannot get work. They lead the most precarious existence of all. One of China's problems is how to handle these people, brave fighters but apt to be destructive. They can become a revolutionary force if given proper guidance. That's the thing that these guys are not understanding here. If you just say like, oh, they could be destructive, therefore we just ignore them or berate them as like completely counter-revolutionary and stuff like that, that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're shooting yourself in the foot. And I think even the Dr. Asatar Bair said that during the debate, but not
Right.
not in that context. But he did say like, alienating all these different types of people, you're shooting yourself in the foot, which he did have a good point there.
Well,
And I think that's a good point.
I think that's the point. I think Haas is doing this intentionally because he's an infiltrator. He's part of the far right, and
Yeah.
he's using his knowledge of Marxism, Leninism. Let's be real with ourselves. I think he does know this stuff. He's well read on the subject to muddy the waters. I mean, that's what he's doing.
I don't know if you mean like he's well read to the point where like he knows that he's misrepresenting it and putting things out of context, or if he's actually like saying what it actually means. Because I don't think he's actually honestly read this stuff.
Okay, I don't think he's well read to the point where he knows it in depth. I think he's well read enough where he knows he can manipulate what these writers are saying.
Yeah,
and I know
kind of like how left communists are. Yeah,
I'm not saying this because I think Haas is smart. I'm just saying that Haas may be a fool, but he's not so stupid that he doesn't understand this stuff, at least to some level.
Right. He's malicious. And and I think another evidence for that is like the fact he promotes Dugin. The fact like these people are saying don't read Sakai, that's a fed, but they're promoting like Martin Heidegger. I mean, that in itself is like the biggest red flag ever. I mean, if you know anything about Heidegger, I mean, this guy was like saluting Hitler in 1934 at college as a professor. Like nobody should be reading Heidegger, honestly.
Dude, I had one of his stupid cultists that I was crushing on Twitter for like 3 months and shit. That was literally sitting there defending Heidegger, not knowing he was a fucking Nazi.
Oh my god! Wow.
Like I pointed it out to him. I was like, "Why are you even defending this guy? And you're claiming that we have to read him when he's a Nazi? You're claiming we have to read a Nazi to understand Marx?" and then I saw in Haas's fucking Discord before it got deleted that he was asking people like, "Is it true Heidegger's really a Nazi?" And then people were like, "Yeah." And then he was like, then why does Haas defend him? And then the people's response were like, it's not our fault some Nazis are based, which is super big red flag.
Oh, wow. God.
Yeah, and Haas on Twitter, he tried to downplay it. He said that like, oh, Heidegger thought that Hitler was a messiah, but he was wrong. And then he called Bordiga a fascist. Um, like, yeah, if you thought Hitler was a messiah, well, I mean, you're pretty much a Nazi. You know what I mean? In the context of Heidegger.
Didn't Haas say he used to be a big fan of Bordiga? I swear he said that before.
Yeah, he's claimed that he had a left com phase. He's
Yeah,
also
that's not
claimed,
surprising to me. He still has that left com tendency of completely taking shit out of context that means absolutely nothing of what they're trying to put forth that it does.
right.
Honestly, I've said this multiple times, like in my YouTube, like not multiple times, but in private and once in my recent YouTube post, like I did earlier today. It is no coincidence that many Dangus tend to be former Trots.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I haven't met one Dangus that wasn't a former Trot.
Yeah, that makes like I don't know. It's kind of strange. Same thing with like a lot of like the more reactionary type of dudes. Like a lot of them have like history like with the Trot movement. It's just really funny to me.
I mean, LaRouche was a former Trot. Caleb's too since 14.
Yeah.
Yeah. Haas claims that like just like Caleb, Haas claims that he used to be in quote unquote ultra Maoist during 2016. But of course I don't take that face value. But yeah.
So I refuse to take that to face value too, because what do you mean by a Maoist? You mean a Marxist Leninist with Mao Zedong thought? What the fuck are you talking about?
Right. He doesn't describe specifically. And of course, like 5 months ago, he tweeted out that we should apply like Mao Zedong theory and like have a vanguard with what was it? Disaffected MAGA people and rural petite bourgeois.
What the fuck?
Yeah, he literally advocated for that. Yeah.
It's okay. It's like
oh wait, is he trying to say when he says like about applying Mao Zedong? Is he talking about like putting like new democracy in the U.S.? What would even be the point? Like the whole point was like China was completely like not a developed society at that point. The United States is like pretty much the most developed country in the world.
What was that like podcast that doctor went on that had hundreds of thousands of people watching?
I'm not sure. And supposedly it was like a right-wing podcast. And that's what Haas was complaining about.
I don't think Haas would be able to do any better than the doctor. In fact, I'd argue he would do worse. Because like they would hear like this guy, it's like, wait, there's just a conservative that's pushing communism. What kind of fucking stupid shit is this?
Right.
Who is this weirdo? In fact, I'd argue Haas would be fucking clowned by these people. He would never be able to show his face to these people again. No, he's not gonna be able to reach MAGA people because MAGA people don't want to deal with communists, even if they have conservative values. They don't care. They view everyone as a communist, even people that are slightly to the left.
Well, that's the thing, though, is that in response to that, Haas will just play into it and do the opposite. So he'll just start embracing everything that the conservatives do and say, and then they'll start to think he's like based or something. But then here's the problem with that, though. Like even if he is able to convince some of them, he's not actually like turning them into Marxist Leninists or anything like that. He's just basically giving them a new terms to describe what they already believed in from the beginning anyway.
Right.
Which is not like what Marxism Leninism is. It's not just teaching people new fucking words to push the same reactionary bullshit.
And here's the thing that's really stupid. It's like, oh, America is my country. That's why I fly its flag. And you know what? The doctor made a good argument, though, that you're never going to wave that flag as well as as the reactionaries. You're never going to do it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because in any protest with that's left wing, nobody trusts someone that waves an American flag. No one. It's always a counter protester that waves the American flag.
Right. Yeah.
Another
I mean,
funny thing that I noticed is if he's trying to like reach out to like MAGA people, but he's super against the lumpen. Like
right.
it's kind of a contradiction in a way because like MAGA has like a mixture of people, right? It's like definitely like bullshit like petty bourgeois people in there, absolutely, but there's also a lumpen element within MAGA itself, especially when like
Right.
people like Hillary Clinton is calling them like those are the deplorables and stuff like that, like the or whatever she said about like something in the basket. I forgot what the quote was.
Yeah, deplorables. Yeah, a basket
Yeah.
of deplorables.
Oh yeah, the basket of deplorables. like he's already like negating like that entire movement to begin with. If he's like attacking the lumpen, but it's kind of funny.
Well, the
Right.
problem with it doesn't make sense how he uses the word lumpen. He just uses it so interchangeably when he's talking about people that he doesn't like.
Yeah, he's
Right.
just that's the thing. Like the people that he's claiming to want to actually reach out to, those people are much closer to the lumpen than the fucking blue-haired upper middle class liberals or something
Like, I don't
that
give a
he wants to
fuck.
describe them as. What the
I don't give
fuck?
a fuck about some blue-haired fucking chick or what or guy. I don't fucking give a shit because people in the working class don't fucking dress like that or look like that.
Yeah.
If they do
Right.
have something, they'd have a tattoo or something. They wouldn't fucking have a fucking like some weird hair. I'm not saying I have nothing against people that dye their hair blue or whatever you want to do. I have nothing against people like that. I'm just saying overwhelmingly, majority of people who are working class, especially the lumpen, none of them do that because they don't have the funds to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty cheap, honestly. I mean, I do see I do see different people do it.
But majority of workplaces don't allow you to like
Yeah,
work looking like that.
yeah. Unless you're working like a service job, then they don't really care that often, to be honest. Like if you're working like in a grocery store, like something. Like back when I was working grocery in college,
It
I saw, and it's mostly like the funny thing is it's mostly women, but there are of
Right.
course some dudes that do it, but a lot of women like to color their hair and stuff. I would see it
well,
fairly often when I was working grocery.
well, that's the thing I find really scary about this pushing this anti-Levin sentiment because how far is he really going to push it? What's next? He's going to basically like call people who like collects like disability as parasites or degenerates because I could see him doing that soon.
Yeah,
Right.
Like how they're leeching off the working class.
yeah. I don't even know.
Right.
Here's the thing. I've never even colored my hair, so I have no idea. But like, I'm assuming it's how expensive is that shit anyway? Like to dye your hair, is it like $20, $30? I don't know.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, it might depend on like if you're doing it permanently or you're doing like that little like 12-hour version of that.
All right,
Yeah,
all right, okay,
Yeah.
okay. I did not know. Okay. I didn't mean it in that way. Okay, if that sounded condescending, like I'll, you know, I apologize in advance for that. I didn't mean to do that. I'm just saying that basically Haas is just throwing the word lump in, like
yeah.
you know,
Okay,
like loosely.
I'm only seeing like I'm searching it up because I've never colored my hair before. I have no fucking idea how much this shit costs. I'm not saying anything over like $20.
Okay. If you're wondering what the debate was, it was with Haas and what's that doctor's name is again?
But was it
Asatar
Astar?
Bair or something like that.
Yeah.
Asatar Bair. Like, yeah, it's not a debate worth watching. It's okay. What it's just two dangus arguing with each other. One of them was more rational on how they argued, though he came off more as a liberal. Haas was like, you know, throwing a bunch of random shit like in order to actually change the topic to get under the guy's skin.
Right.
Like, okay, I don't want to praise the guy and say, oh, like the guy did so well because he did do well objectively. But it's just you cannot say he won that debate because there really wasn't a debate in there because it was just a questionnaire.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he one. I don't even know. Debates are stupid in the first place. But
It
and
is.
to sum it up, basically, I don't think he gained anything really.
The thing is, he didn't really prove that Haas was a fascist in that debate because he didn't actually define what made Haas a fascist.
Yeah.
Right.
Even though he had plenty of evidence on Twitter.
Yeah, I think he didn't prove that Haas is a fascist, but I think what he did prove is that Haas is completely ineffective of like actually like building like a working class movement, especially when he's being so divisive over like random like stupid bullshit, like coloring your hair and going to art school or something. Like it's super weird.
Yeah, it was super weird, and
It's
like
like
Haas gets.
it's like completely irrelevant shit though, you know? It's like why do you care so much about that?
Yeah, and I
Like
mean like.
I don't
Mhm.
care.
Right, like you get unhinged even like every week. Haas gets more and more unhinged, and this is like part of the whole contrarian online kind of like downward spiral. They're always trying to make like these over the top so-called hot takes or edginess, and it gets worse every week with Haas and Moppin.
Yeah. So someone said in the chat, box dye is usually $20. Salon dye, up to $100. Okay. So if they
I
get it like
see.
professionally done or something like that, yeah.
I see. Yeah. Yeah, and it's just weird how Oz is like that's just your typical right wing thing. They complain about people dyeing their hair. Like it's just like some I don't even know how to put it. It's just like some weird hatred fetish thing, you know?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
super weird. Like I'm always catching myself wondering like who did Haas wrong when he was a kid? Like did his mother like not hug him or something? Like, I think LT put some funny shit in Asatar Bair's chat. He was like, Haas got dumped by a blue haired liberal woman or some shit. and, that- and that's why he hates them so much. Oh man.
I don't know. This debate, like I was disappointed that the guy even challenged Haas, and I don't make it a secret that people need to stop challenging Haas to debates. They need to stop like engaging with this guy because all people are doing is legitimizing his views. Like the more you debate fascists, the stronger you make their presence on. Because we're in a social media age where I think debating fascists now is more dangerous than it ever has been. It's so much easier to spread your views. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well the problem is that like this fascist is calling himself an ML and communist. I mean that's why this stream is happening because he thanks to Caleb and others they're trying to uplift Haas into something that he isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like that's why these infiltrators, these Pat sock infiltrators, are more dangerous proximity wise than like Vosh. You know.
Yeah, Vosh is fucking. I've not seen anything from like the Voshites in forever, to be honest.
Yeah, same here.
Like they're just completely irrelevant to this point. Like they're done with. Everybody knows they're fucking useless. Everybody knows they're just shills for the Democrats. They're out here like defending Biden on all of his stupid bullshit. Pretty much ever since Biden got elected, they've been completely irrelevant.
Yeah, they've been basically like self liquidated or self demolished in a sense.
Yeah,
And they'll even be more irrelevant after the midterms. Like yeah.
yeah. Like they're gonna. It's gonna be funny. Like in the 2024 election or whatever. Like they're gonna sit there defending Biden again or something, or whoever the fuck
Right.
runs. Whatever. I don't even know what the
Well,
hell's going.
well, the question I have is if the Pet Sox are still around, what do you think people the likes of Haas will do in 2024?
Oh
He's
god.
gonna
This is
defend. He's gonna support Trump, probably.
no hypothetically. Let's just say they're around, which I don't know if I don't think Haas will be around in that long. I actually think after this year, I don't. I think Haas is going to be irrelevant.
I hope so. I hope
I.
so.
But then again, this is wishful thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. By 2024, I think by then, like CPI collapses and Hawes and Maupin have some kind of fallout. At least I hope that's the case. Um, but yeah, it's
Yeah, and I think we're already starting to see the beginnings of it, the very beginning. I'm not saying it's going to happen anytime soon, but I think it's
right.
hopeful that we're seeing at least the beginnings of it with their internal splits and shit, where it's like, you know, Haas's people are just committed to their bullshit, to the reactionary bullshit. They're uncommitted to any type of actual building up of communism. And the
Right.
people that were like newbies and like foolish enough to actually fall for this shit, they're starting to realize it, and they're starting to
Yeah.
correct their errors at least a little bit.
Yeah, and with Samir Khan's crazy pro Spanish colonialism tweet, a lot of RevNats in the pat like a lot of the RevNats, they're waking up and they're realizing that whoa, like we're not for this, you know, anybody within like Latin America sphere. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of Pat Socks like making fun of the term RevNat.
Oh my god, amazing.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean it's a good thing because like here's the thing like uh, I don't think RevNats at least in terms of us in our position there's no contradictions there. It's basically just like bringing them on board with like the socialism and stuff like that, the dictatorship, proletariat, and everything. But I think for the most part they're completely with us. You know, they're completely
Right,
with us
I
on.
agree.
And I think it's a good thing that a lot of them are starting to realize that, like, they could depend on us to be by their side at all times with that shit, and we're not gonna fucking stab them in the back as soon as we take over, like the Pat Sox would.
Right.
well, the thing is, I will never trust the likes of B level because B level has no principles whatsoever. And I'm bringing this up because, like, there was at a point where B level was actually considering, siding against Caleb at one point.
Eh.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
he's an opportunist. He always has been. He always will be. He took the side that was more popular. Oh, there was a lot of people that were against the pro-colonial stance. So he took that stance because he didn't want to die on the hill that Haas and Caleb are dying on.
Right.
And Jackson
Right.
Hinkle too, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I saw a stupid ass fucking. I don't know if it was the real Jackson Hinkle or not. I don't know how to tell the difference in the shit. Do they have a check mark or something in the chat? I don't know how that shit works here, but someone, I'm assuming it was real Jackson, in the debate with New Amada, New Amada and Haas. There was the Jackson account. That was just saying the stupidest dumb fuck shit. Where it's like they should the RevNet should drop their stuff and rally around American patriotism.
Oh my god.
I was like, oh man, what a joke.
Yeah. And I think freaking and the whole flag controversy too didn't just start because of Jackson. It's also because that freaking doofus who's now calling himself an ML, Peter
Yeah,
Coffin, like he started wearing the American flag in this like wrestling suit
yeah,
and
with a
saying
fucking
that
wrestler, a fucking speedo or something. I don't
like
know,
it's
wrestling
like
suit with his fucking
honestly,
package just on full display.
like
right.
that has become a meme. He's a meme. That's what he'll forever be known as is a meme.
Right. Yeah, and like Peter Coffin was saying, "Oh yeah, it's patriotic to wear the flag and all this." And it was like, wow, it's
It's like what I don't know. What did Lenin and Stalin say about that?
Yeah, I wonder. Dude, it'd be fucking classic to see like Lenin's reaction to this idiot wearing that shit.
Lenin would probably say, "I did not purge enough people."
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and like now, yeah, I mean, the infrared quote followers, I mean, they're like now I'm seeing them say stuff like every week they come up with like new phrases and new hot takes or whatever. And one of the recent ones now is that Marx never defined exploitation properly. Another one they're throwing around now is the production of anarchy, and that this is proof that Marx isn't an anarchist. But if I remember correctly, I don't think that's what Marx was really referring to.
What with the
With the
anarchy of production?
yeah,
Yeah, it's nothing to do with that. Yeah.
right. Yeah, it's insane. And the anti-union thing, that's like a new trendy thing with them. Every week they got some kind of like new cope against unions. Um,
Well, here's the thing: these people fucking are fucking. They're just coping that they're just a bunch of internet fucking larpers that can't get anything done. That people that they fucking hate have gotten more fucking done in a shorter amount of time than they ever will.
right. And the whole CPUSA 2036 has been delayed because they're basically blacklisted. And like 3 weeks ago, one of the infrared infiltrators, they got kicked out of like the Louisiana CPUSA.
Base.
Yeah, and Cause was crying about it as usual.
It's kind of funny because they keep on like making posts and streams and shit where it's like we're taking over the CPUSA.
It's like it's pretty easy to spot a Haas follower.
Right.
Yeah. I think that a lot of the Communist Party, like, they're recognizing that too. Or like, these idiots are really easy to spot out. Let's just get rid of them.
It's like
Right.
when you have a party like the CPUSA, I don't really respect them really that much. I'm just being honest. I'm sorry,
Same here.
Yeah.
but if they see you as a problem, that is bad.
Yeah. That's the craziest thing too. Is like if these reformist motherfuckers that like just tail the fucking Democrats, like if they see you as a problem, even then wow, that says a lot about you. It says more about you than it says about them.
You know what's funny is like if you criticize the CPUSA in the infrared cult before they denounced Caliph and Haas, you were considered an ultra leftist for criticizing the CPUSA.
For
Right.
real, for real. That's something that people don't bring up.
Right. Um, and before the CPUSA fallout, I remember somebody pointed out that Caleb had a tweet saying that, "Oh, I'm glad CPUSA doesn't endorse like revolution or something to that effect." Like basically, he was like parading entryism.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think I sort of screenshot that in the Discord where Caleb was like, "I'm glad that they support peaceful transition to socialism and stuff like that." It's like, wow,
Wow.
you're glad they support this Khrushchevite bullshit, like
Right.
basically reducing yourself to a sock dem.
Right. And like in the context of America, I can't see how there could ever be a peaceful transition to socialism.
Yeah, for real, like the biggest fucking imperialist country in the world.
But
Like,
the CPUSA they did have a chance to overthrow capitalism in America, but they sold out to Roosevelt.
Right. Right.
I suggest to Caleb that he should read two works from Lenin: The Illegal Party and Its Legal Work, and Guerrilla Warfare by Lenin.
Like
Did Caleb basically like imply that Lenin was a Jew in his ancestry?
yeah,
No
he
idea.
did.
You
Yeah,
know what?
he.
Sorry.
Oh, you could go.
What's fucking hilarious is like he will criticize anyone for like quoting him out of context when he says so much that shit. It's like he can't resist just not talking. It's like he's just so dumb.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting quote that I have from Lenin and his work Guerrilla Warfare. So, and this is directly like applicable to like Caleb and a lot of those idiots that try to say like these crazy people advocating violence and shit. Here's what Lenin says. He says, "Quote: When I see social democrats proudly and smugly declaring, quote, we are not anarchists, thieves, robbers, we are superior to all this, we reject guerrilla warfare, unquote, I ask myself, do these people realize what they are saying? Armed clashes and conflicts between the Black Hundred government and the population are taking place all over the country. This is an absolutely inevitable phenomenon at the present stage of development of the revolution. The population is spontaneously and in an unorganized way, and for that very reason, often in unfortunate and desirable forms, reacting to this phenomenon also by armed conflicts and attacks. I can understand us refraining from party leadership of this spontaneous struggle in a particular place or a particular time because of the weakness and unpreparedness of our organization. I realize that this question must be settled by the local practical workers and that remolding of weak and unprepared organizations is no easy matter. But when I see a social democratic theoretician or publicist not displaying regret over this unpreparedness, but rather a proud smugness and self-exalted tendency to repeat phrases learned by rote in early youth about anarchism, Blankism, and terrorism, I am hurt by this degradation of the most revolutionary doctrine in the world, unquote. So literally what he's saying here is that he agrees with the idea of having a type of guerrilla warfare within the social democratic party or the Marxist-Leninist party, but the problem at that time was not that they were doing it in general, but more so that the party was not even organized to handle that type of thing yet.
I see.
Yeah, it's pretty funny though. How he's against this type of shit.
Right.
Like State and Revolution also wrote about like people like Klensky who let's be honest, Haas and Caleb are exactly like supporting
Right.
like imperialists. Like, speaking of which, there's something that was very interesting. I might as well bring this up. You guys are familiar with what happened on Twitter like a few days ago, right? Or was it yesterday? Where you had this dangoid freaking like talk about like, oh, China's like trade relations with Israel at a time when there was a funeral for a journalist that was murdered by the IDF.
Yeah.
And
and there was some fucking guy. There was some fucking guy. Yeah, he was like saying like, "What's so bad about China's trade relations with Israel?"
It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yo, that guy blocked me, and I didn't even reply to that tweet.
He blocked me because I asked him, why does China need to trade with Israel when they don't have to?
Yeah, for real.
Right.
I just thought that was funny though. Like I didn't even reply to him. So I don't know how he knew who I was, whatever. But he blocked me immediately.
I would. BDS is the kind of thing that would be considered ultra left by the likes of Haas.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah. I actually saw another Dangoid who's like associated with infrared. And he was saying that basically he was saying that like Hamas doesn't actually care about BDS and China is supporting Palestine. And then he was making fun of saying that BDS is only like a college campus thing. And like I don't know where to start with that. But I know I've been told by people that Kean Mansfield doesn't support BDS because supposedly it won't work or it's not pragmatic.
Oh God!
Which is
Yeah.
funny.
Let's be honest, he's a fucking Zionist, probably. So
if it doesn't work, I have a question. Why do so many countries pass laws against it?
Right.
Yeah, for real. Even
You
here. And by the
yeah,
way, Tulsi Gabbard supported a bill that did that shit too, and I know they kind of like Tulsi. So
Right.
Yeah, it's like what the fuck are you talking about? And the only reason I'm bringing this up because like all this stuff is interconnected. You have Zionists who are dangoids. You have Nazis that are dangoids, which whatever, Zionist, Nazi. Is it really fucking a difference? Because the Zionists can also be Nazis. I mean, Zionism is not even an ideology that you even are required to be Jewish to be a Zionist. You could be an atheist and be a Zionist.
Right. Right.
yeah, Keaton Mansfield is always putting out really stupid ass fucking tweets and arguments in general. Like I'm shocked that Caleb still has this idiot as like a leading member of the CPI.
You know, if it weren't for him to retweet that pro-colonialism tweet, none of this controversy would have happened.
Right. Right. Yeah, that debate with Amara probably wouldn't have happened. Yeah.
It's like there is really no organization in CPI. There's like nothing. There's no command structure. There's nothing. It's like you guys act like complete anarchists, far more than fucking the Maoists that you criticize and who are actually waging fucking people's wars, in various countries. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Well, according to Haas, the Filipino Maoist rebels or communist rebels, they're funded by the U.S., so he doesn't support them.
According to and where's the and citation? Where's the proof?
He didn't give any, of course. Yeah,
Yeah, that's so stupid.
it really is, and like he's obviously trying to say that because these dingoids, they don't want to talk about how China sells weapons to Duarte now, the Philippines, because that would prove that China doesn't care about revolution.
No, and I will just go as far as to say this: if you don't, if you're not an anti-imperialist to the point where you're willing to criticize everyone, because China arms fucking the Zionist state of Israel, and I bring up Israel because Israel is like the most infamous example of this. There's a genocide going on in Palestine. It's being televised. And the reason why Israel does what it wants, because they know there's going to be no consequences. They know China's not going to do anything against them, or Russia, or America, or the EU,
Mm,
or Britain. So that's why it's allowed to get away with doing what it's doing. If you truly were an anti-imperialist, you would criticize China for this reactionary, opportunist, not bullshit.
right.
China could fucking endorse BDS. But they choose not to.
Doesn't the DPRK supports BDS, don't they? I know they support Palestine in general, but
Yes, they
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
Yeah.
North Korea has zero relations with Israel. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so-
Cuba ended relations around like 57. Bolivia and Venezuela have cut ties basically. So they basically support Palestine to the effect of BDS, or as much as they can.
yeah. See,
Yeah.
and this is why I have much more sympathy for those type of countries than I do like China. Like China is in such a good position to be able to put force behind the BDS movement. If they were to actually do that, that would
Oh
be
yeah.
so fucking helpful.
And you know what? China would actually look better in the long run.
Yeah, they would.
The world would
Yeah.
look at China as like, wow, China actually actually supports the Palestinians, but they won't do it because they don't care about the Palestinians anymore than the West does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Alabiva, as the Chinese company that's private, they won't like send the mail or like serve. They won't ship anything to Palestinian addresses now in the West Bank because I guess they're just like kowtowing to the government of Israel. So yeah, very socialist Alabiva. Um,
Oh, but guys, China is working on a long-term strategy, trying to pull Israel's away from Western influence. It's like, really? Come on, really? You actually think Israel gives a fuck about what China fucking does? They don't give
right,
as long as China supports Israel, they don't give a fuck. They're not gonna. China's not gonna tell Israel what to do. They don't care. Israel knows that.
right.
And even if they do have people in the Israeli government that would rather deal with America, the facts are the facts. China is going to replace America as the hegemonic power, and they'd be stupid to continue to like choose America over China. It'd be stupid. And you'll see these same people defend the Belt and Road Initiative. They will make the Palestinian struggle. They'll fucking make up lies that it's being funded by George Soros, whatever stupid anti-Semitic
Oh
conspiracy theory they'll
god,
fucking come up in their head. We all know it will come. We all know it will happen. It
right,
eventually they will join the Belt and Road Initiative. It's going to happen, and they're going to use anything they can as an excuse not to support fucking Palestine. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, Palestine and Yemen are the litmus test for me for anti-imperialism. If you don't support these countries like at all, then you're not an anti-imperialist. If you,
oh,
Yeah,
in
see,
my
and
opinion,
here's the thing about the fucking Pat stocks that really pisses me off though too is that they'll claim to be anti-imperialist, they'll claim to be pro-Palestine, but yet they'll also be like super pro China and not really criticize them at all for their fucking helping of Israel and this type of shit. Same thing with Russia.
Right. Right. And now I see them now that there's tensions between Saudi Arabia and the Gulf states with the US. Now they're like cheering this on. They're like, yeah, it's good that China is gonna be more closer to the Saudis and all these like monarchist oil tycoons. And like, no, that's not a good thing. Like, look at what they're doing in Yemen. Look at some of the other war projects they're a part of. Like, that's not good. And so it's crazy.
Yeah.
And okay, here's the thing: I did not become anti-China because I hate the Chinese people or the Chinese government. In fact, I have nothing against the Chinese people. I'm pretty sure they're good people in China that just want to live a normal life, who just want to be left alone and don't want interference from like the West when it comes to their way of life. So
Hmm.
I have nothing against China, at least the people of China. The government I can't say because I don't have enough information. But for me, the reason why I'm anti-China is because the Dangoids, they will defend every reactionary position that China takes.
Right.
Yeah.
Does China deserve to be praised when it does something right? Yes. I will give China credit when it does something right. And I'll criticize it when it does something wrong, like we should be doing for any country.
Yeah, for me, with in terms of China, I think it's better than the U.S. But here's the thing: is like we still got to call a spade a spade. It's an imperialist country. It's a capitalist imperialist country.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, sure, it's better than the U.S. and good for them for the accomplishments that they've made. But I mean, as a Marxist-Leninist, that doesn't mean we should be supporting them just because they're a lesser imperialist power than the U.S. or they might give their imperialized countries like a better deal than the U.S. That doesn't make them anti-imperialists. That they're still imperialists.
That's just, it's setting the bar really low. I mean, it doesn't take that much to be better than America. It
Yeah,
really doesn't.
yeah, that's the thing too. It's like it's such a low bar to begin with.
It's like America is a fucking Nazi fucking Hitlerite country. So it isn't
Right.
anything is better than that, with the exception of Israel and maybe Japan.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, like that's the thing though. It's like it's kind of like a three worlds theory type of logic to say like, but they're better than the US. We should be supporting them. But no, like first of all, a lot of modern dangists will cope and seethe and revise Lenin's theory of imperialism to try to twist reality into trying to claim that, China and Russia are not imperialist,
Hmm.
which they absolutely are by Lenin's definition, and imperialism, high stage of capitalism. Uh, and they'll try, and from that point, from their incorrect analysis of imperialism, they'll therefore claim that Russia and China are anti-imperialist, which they absolutely are not.
Right. Yeah, and I like part of that too that I noticed is not even just like with MLs and Dangoids. Like I noticed with like the so-called anti-war left, like they've kind of adopted this whole multipolarity crap. And I know that leftism today and socialism for all have like done kind of a breakdown of that, and so like that has an influence on them too. They think like, oh, they some kind of abstract ideal notion of multipolarity. They're like, oh, if we just like get to this multipolarity world, imperialism will fall in America, and therefore we gotta cheer for anything that is against America. But they don't. I mean, that's like kind of it, and like they don't have any other. They're not talking about dialectics. They're not talking about socialist revolution because a lot of these countries are capitalist. So,
Yeah,
Well, and the straw man that I'm sick and tired of is when you have the infrared and Caleb cult basically say, "Oh, we oh, we hate these countries. Like, I don't fucking hate Venezuela. I don't hate fucking
Right.
Vietnam or Cuba or the DPRK. Like, I don't hate these countries. In fact, like, I have nothing but respect for especially for the people of Vietnam, because they've been through so much. 3 fucking wars, fucking survived genocide against the French, the Japanese, and the Americans. Survived a war against fucking China.
Right.
Yeah, they went revisionist after the Vietnam War, but just look at Vietnam today and compare it what it was before their independence.
Yeah,
Right.
and again, like when we're calling them revisionist, that's not saying like we reject them in their totality or something like that. Like, yeah, you could still support them while still pointing out that they're flaws and that they're clearly revisionist in some aspects, you know?
Yeah, I don't
Mhm.
hate Vietnam. That's like, because of course I would criticize Vietnam for doing trades with Israel, but my argument for that is it's wrong. But where is Vietnam, like, economically compared to the likes of China?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
and not to mention where they're located. It's a little more understandable. The
Here's
DPRK is like has doesn't have to do what it does, but it does it anyway. So I have high respect to the DPRK. They're gonna be sanctioned anyway, so fuck it.
Right.
And see, here's the thing too, that it's another point that well, people will obviously point out that, like, a lot of those other countries like Venezuela and like Bolivia, or other countries like similar to that, where they're not technically economically socialist or something like that. Yeah, that's true, but I think they would be able to actually do that, and they would be actually able to push forward in like the building of socialism if China were to actually embrace economic planning and actual socialist construction itself, and stop with like the market bullshit. Like, if they were able to just embrace that fully worldwide, I mean, we have multiple countries now that we can start building an actual network for this type of stuff again.
Right.
It's their excuse. Oh, if they went socialist now, they wouldn't be able to take on the United States. Like, that's pure cowardice.
Oh my god.
It's like,
Yeah,
that
that's
is
complete bullshit.
it's complete cowardice if that's the argument they made. China is more than capable of handling the United States now. It just chooses
Right.
not to be socialist.
Right. And what was I remember when I was watching Moppin's he has his like kind of 10-minute video about Marx's revisionism, like the history of it. And like, at some point in it, he says that, well, Khrushchev had to do coexistence because the US had nuclear bombs.
That's funny.
We all know what Mao said about that.
Right. And like Caleb didn't even bring up the fact that the USSR also had nukes. So it was like, wow. And then he just like passes it on like normal, and he skips to like the next subject like that. Like, no more insight. He just says, yeah, they got nukes, so Khrushchev had to do it.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it was pure cowardice on his part. Like, they didn't have to
Right.
do it. It's like we're supposed to struggle again for socialism. It's not going to be easy, and being afraid of the fucking paper tiger is not going to fucking do us any good. It's like, where's the Soviet Union now? It's gone. China, it's like, what do you call China at this point? It's like, the reason why I'm as hard as I am on China, because China is supposed to be socialist, right? Aren't we supposed to hold socialist countries to a higher standard than capitalist countries?
Yeah, we should.
Right. Yeah, we should.
It's like, why the fuck is China trading with fascist countries? Why is it arming fascists? Why is it fucking not doing anything to actually support revolution? Why is it doing everything it can to crush revolution?
Right. I mean, I just saw that. I think recently last year, the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, was like buying Chinese military drones, and I don't mean like little drones. Like, we're talking about missiles and shit. So it's like he's and that UAE is part of the war in Yemen. They're like helping the Saudis bomb them. So it's
It's like
just
we don't owe China anything, especially if we live in the United States. We really don't own anything.
right,
It's it's like why should we be loyal to a country that we don't even live in the first place? And not to mention, China is actually making things worse for workers worldwide. Like countries all over the world are adapting the China model.
right, and but according to Maupin, it's a good thing that they have a rising middle class. So we're supposed to expand the middle class according to Maupin, I guess.
Yeah, but the middle class have always historically been the vanguards of fascism.
That's the funny thing
Yeah,
too, is that he claims. I think he actually does claim that China today is still socialist, and yet they have a growing middle class. But
right.
and he
Yeah,
really like fetishizes the middle class here too. It's like
right.
he always says like the middle class is vanishing away, kind of like a Bernie crat would say.
That's such bullshit. Considering, like, I live in fucking Orange County, California. I don't see the middle class like fading. Like, I know some
Right.
fucking coworkers of mine that own their own house in fucking Orange County, for fuck's sake.
Right. I mean, I saw something that like under Trump, the middle class actually grew. And like maybe COVID had some effect towards the end of it, but like it still grew from like
Yeah.
40% or something like that. Um, so, so like this idea that the labor aristocracy doesn't exist in America is like completely, it's complete nonsense.
It is
Yeah.
it is complete nonsense in general. And I don't know where that guy's position that debated Hawes in that debate are. I don't know. I really don't know for sure what his positions are, like in general regarding the lumpen. I know he thinks we shouldn't abandon the lumpen, so I guess that's an improvement over most dangoids who despise them.
Yeah.
Right.
But the reason why I've been focusing on Haas and Caleb more, because let's be honest, the doctor throughout the debate
He
didn't
didn't
really
really
have
say much. Yeah.
he had nothing of substance to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he would get out like two sentences, and then Haas would just talk over him, and then the doctor guy would just like ask him a question or something. Like,
Right.
It wasn't a debate.
yeah.
And the guy got clowned in his own comment section.
Well, yeah. That's just the nature of like idiot Haas cultists. Though, is they'll just go to the other person's chat and troll them and shit.
Yeah.
It's not like
Well,
that we're just like neutral people watching. Those are all Haas like versions.
right. I mean, Haas used to on Discord. He used to post links, either
To like
Twitter link,
tweets, yeah. To like
yeah,
ratio this person. Like,
yeah, or upload my tweets and all that. He used to tell people to dislike videos up until they took out the numbers for the dislikes.
Didn't that idiot realize disliking the videos and liking it is basically the same in the algorithm?
I don't think he did.
Because I really do wish they would never have gotten rid of it.
Yeah, same here. It would have been useful for sure. Yeah,
It has felt like corporations just lobby to remove it because of they want to hide the dislike button.
right. Yeah, it's a damage control thing for the really really big paid contributor so-called content creators. But I mean, like the ones that are getting like these medals from YouTube. Like they're sending them like this like kind of like gold package medal. So they get like 1 million subs or
Yo,
whatever.
speaking of which, I got a question. If Haas is really growing as fast as he says he was, why has he not surpassed um like the tens of thousands of subs? Why isn't he at 20,000 or 50,000 by now?
Yeah, well, he's gonna blame the Twitch ban now. That's like
yeah. The thing was, is
Yeah.
like his channel was already starting to die, and he was complaining about views. Before like
Right.
the whole Russia invading Ukraine shit happened. That's when like then he started getting like 1,000 viewers a stream because of everyone was like, "Oh, this lunatic idiot is just like defending everything Russia does." Like,
Right. And same thing with Moppin too, is like when this Ukraine Russia war happened, like he just boosted in followings. Part of it because Moppin's on RT America. So, that aspect as well.
and then there was that meme video where he was like, "Why Russia invading Ukraine is good for the American working class" or some stupid shit.
Wait, he actually
Right.
did that?
Yeah, he
Oh,
did.
It was the
fucking
biggest cope
Christ.
video. Yeah.
Yeah, and even before like Putin launched the war, like Moppin was saying, there's never gonna be an invasion of any kind.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like literally like 12 hours later, like literally he's like bombing Kyiv and other places like very west.
Yeah, and then the next day he uploads that video where he's like, "Why this is good for the American workers."
Right, and then the CPI march, like when they're in New York City, and they're like saying Russia is not our enemy.
That was cringe. That was
It's like
cringe.
it's like I don't know. We've been going off topic, repeating ourselves, and I have to go to work. Not to tomorrow. Do you guys have any like last thoughts you'd like to get out before I end the stream?
Uh,
Well, you could go first,
oh no,
Flashy.
you go for it. You go for it.
You sure?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what I could say as far as like the debate goes, well, it is what it is. The doctor was, at least he kind of tried, but he shouldn't really do these debates, at least with Haas. And you gotta like people have to understand that Haas is like completely malicious, just completely debate pro ultra in the sense of just this theatrical crap, clownish acts. But honestly, like he's really become unhinged every day. Like he is like he's worse than racist now, and like we're seeing this happen. That's what I would add to it. And then like even outside some of the parameters of the debate, or like the other debate he had, I just add that Haas is he's sadly a thing. I blame Caleb for that mostly, um, and this problem won't go away until they crash and burn, and it's kind of good that somebody had to do a stream to thank Stark Genovia for that, to kind of bring this attention, you know.
Well, well, I know other people may do it. Leftism today. I don't know if he will, but if he does, you know, I I'll watch it. I just it was something on my mind. I watched it on the way home, the debate.
Right,
So, and I feel like there's no way I can wait till Monday to address this. This has to be addressed now because by the time Monday happens, we don't know what shit Paz will say next.
right,
Yeah, it's gonna be
right.
a new topic.
It's like the fucking Haas verse. It's like Jesus. You have Mop and Watch on fucking Stone, like comrade who's doing everything related to Caleb. When is this going to be a Haas fucking watch? Who I do not want to make this into a regular series. I hope not.
Yeah, and I mean I don't blame you for that part. Like, yeah,
Yeah, you would
but
lose your mind. Like,
yeah, I mean I'm almost burnt out. Like I can't even watch mopping streams anymore. And so when I watch these two last debates of Haas, it's like wow, I'm almost burnt out, but not
I
yet.
I was bored, if I have to be honest with you.
yeah, it was kind of boring. I thought it was funny because, like, I said, like, it just shows that Haas has a really weird and stupid and idiotic like interpretation of Marxism, and he tries to apply like stupid, like liberal id pol bullshit to like Marxist analysis, and try to say like blue haired woke liberals are the lumpen proletariat. It's like, dude, you're such a child. Grow the fuck up.
Right, right,
People like
yeah.
him need to fucking log off the internet.
Yeah,
Right. Well, I mean, I wouldn't even care about this guy besides the part that like mopping like promotes and all this. Like if he wasn't calling himself a communist or an ML, he'd just be another fascioid loser that, like, we could kind of ignore because he's not calling himself that. But because he is calling himself a communist and all this, and he's advocating people to infiltrate CPUSA, I mean, he's a wrecker. He's a proximity wrecker. And that's why I told people, these Pat Socks are worse than Vosshites or Destiny people because, they're infiltrators. They're infiltrators, and they have to be dealt with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy with what's been going on, to be honest, because I mean, we're getting more people to realize the ridiculousness of the Pat Sox line in general.
Right.
Like, for instance, like with New Mata, like when they tweeted out that we have left unity against patriotic socialism, that was pretty based.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, that's a great tweet for sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's and to be fair, like we should be optimistic. We are seeing divisions and contradictions happening within the PatSoc movement now. We're seeing it as we mentioned earlier with Just James, etc. So like, so nobody listening to us should be like pessimistic at all. No, there is going to be good things happening that we'll see the Pat Sox crash and burn, and I think the RevNats will come to our camp and wake
Yeah.
up from this like Pat Sock nightmare. Yeah,
If you ask me, the day this pet sock shit died, I would, and I'm just gonna say it, was that pro colonialism tweet that was retweeted by Karen Mansfield. That to me is
right,
the day
That's
that
the
it
beginning of
died.
the end. Yeah.
right.
Because let's be
Yeah,
honest, at the end of the day, none of these people are going to be relevant, in a few years.
right,
In a few years, Caleb Maupin will just be infamous. He's like, wait, who's Caleb Maupin? It's like, wait, is he the communist equivalent of Chris Chan, or am I referring to Haas?
Yeah.
right.
We'll hopefully in a few years, we'll be back to pushing an actual principled Marxist-Leninist line, and we'll have people like even the bigger YouTubers like Marxist Paul and Hakeem and Ugopnik, those type of people continue to grow and continue to spread Marxism-Leninism in an
Right.
actual principled manner.
Even if we have our disagreements, at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. We want socialism. We want the overthrow of capitalism.
Right.
Yeah, see, and here's the thing too. It's like I don't even care to really make distinctions between like Maoists and Marxist Leninists and third worlds and everything. Like of all the third worldists that I've met personally, like Stone, for instance, like I don't have really any disagreements with Stone, and I don't even consider myself a third worldist. I think Dark Snowy, I think you consider yourself a third worldist, right? Or
Yes.
yeah, see, I don't have any issues with third worldists. I don't even consider myself one. Anybody who basically who is in at least a branch of Marxism-Leninism, or the anti-revisionist type of Marxism-Leninism, I think that there's unity to be had there.
Oh, I totally agree. I totally agree.
Yeah, this is proof that we're all the different tendencies. We're all capable of, of talking, like civilly without arguing like a bunch of morons. We actually are mature about it, and that's how these things should be. Honestly, this is why I wanted to do this in the first place, because I figured, you know what, if I just speak to my audience, I'm speaking to the choir, and I think that's the problem with Marxists, like, content on social media in general. We're afraid of speaking to people outside of our comfort zone.
Yeah,
Right. I agree there, and yeah, I mean, there's more unity happening against this stuff, and I don't have any problems with third world is. I mean, I kind of consider myself one now, but yeah,
To me, I actually view this as keeping each other in check.
right,
That's what I view it as.
right, yeah. We do need checks and balances, and I mean, that's why I like leftism today. That's why I like you and others. Even if we have different personalities, that's fine. We kind of need people who are confrontational a bit in a good way,
yeah,
and people who will do other content. That's fine too. and we need diversity for sure. Yeah,
If
and
we agree on like 95% of issues, there is absolutely no reason to split, and you could
right,
absolutely get along with each other.
right.
I agree. So the last thing I'm gonna say is, may we live long and prosper, and down with the fucking fascists that call themselves communists.
Hell
Yep.
yeah,
Let's go.
yeah. Screw these Pat Socks and these Nosballs and all these like deviationists, riotous.
Yep.
All right, peace out, everyone, and keep safe. Don't, for God's sake, wear a mask. I know that's stupid. Whatever. End of stream.
Sounds good. Peace.